the Real Hustle Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Chris Kiblin. Real hustle, real people, real results. You can help support our podcast by checking out our Real Hustle gear. We have t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, hats, and more. The Real Hustle gear is great for the gym or even a night out on the town. Let everyone know that you are a real hustler willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. You can check us out right now at realhustle.com, and right now we're offering all of our listeners 10% off when you use the promo code podcast at checkout. Once again, that is podcast to receive 10% off your entire order. realhustle.com.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Real Hustle Podcast. My name is Chris Kiblin, and I will be your host. We bring in successful people in business and life and talk about their journey as what it takes to be successful. If you're looking for insight on how to get success, then this podcast is for you. And today we have Jordan and Jeremy for Paradigm, Concrete Finishings. Okay.
Yep.
Hey, guys. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Great. I'm glad to have you here.
We appreciate you having us.
So tell us a little bit about your business, and let's kind of like figure out what you guys do.
So we polish concrete, and we do epoxy coatings in businesses, houses, garages, pretty much anywhere there's concrete.
Okay. Explain a little bit about what the epoxy coating is. Kind of give us a little bit of the process of what it looks like. So
there's different types. Our decorative epoxy, which is the metallics, it's a range of different colors. We can put glow in the dark. I mean, the sky's the limit.
So you do all different colors and kind of a marble finish, but like
almost like a bowling ball.
Like a bowling ball. So yeah, because I'm trying to give our listeners who don't see it, right?
Yep.
So what it looks like, a kind of an idea.
You know so you got all the colors on a bowling ball, how they just kind of blend and just flow together. It's exactly like that, but on a floor.
That's awesome. So what's the process of doing something like that?
Well, first off, you have to grind the concrete.
Okay.
So you have to have the machinery, and it's hooked to a HEPA vac, so where there's no dust.
Okay.
You grind the floor, get all your prep work done. Then you have to put down your primer coats, which keeps any moisture from coming up out of the slab, because moisture will kill epoxy.
Okay.
It'll bubble up everywhere. So if you see epoxy that has bubbles, just didn't have the right primer coat.
Wow.
Once you get done doing that, then you can start mixing all your colors, and that's where the creativity comes in. So
that's where Mama comes in.
So you can blend colors. You pick what color palette you want, and you start pouring it and just be real creative and artistic as you're putting it down.
Gotcha.
And that's the beautiful thing about all the different colors with the metallic. When people think of garage floors, they think of the flake systems. The metallic truly is a piece of artwork on your floor. Mm-hmm. It is seamless, and it is so easy to clean, and some people want it simple, 1-2 colors. I highly recommend at least 2 just to give it a slight artistic look, but you could go all the way up to 8, which is what we did in our garage, which is phenomenal.
You can do as many as you want.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So and then you can make the color patterns maybe even flow with your house or whatever, right?
That's what we try to do, is go with what your style of your home is, with either your color stucco or your color stone, or if you want something totally different.
Right.
So you don't have to go with the color of your house.
Right.
Some people want yellow, some people want red, green.
I think I'd want red. I'm just a red and black kind of guy. Red, black, and white.
Yeah, red looks amazing.
Yeah, because I saw some of the stuff, and so and we'll talk about this. What is your guys' website so people can check it out?
That would be www.paradigmconcretefl.com, and that is the same for our social media as well, Paradigm Concrete FL.
Okay, because I was on your website, I was checking your stuff out, and it's just, and I saw it in the red, just instantly attracted me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the red's awesome.
That's pretty badass.
We just did a pizza shop in Venice.
Okay.
Brew Burgers.
Okay.
He had red, silver, and white.
Mm-hmm.
And we had like a black, but it's called like gunmetal.
Okay.
There's different colors for the black.
Wow.
It's really cool.
Because I love it. I've seen, and the more I see it, the more I like it. And I'm like, how much could I put in my actual house?
Yeah.
I was like, would this be weird if I did the whole house this way? Because I think you guys have done some stuff like that.
Yeah, you can do houses. Yeah, it's extremely durable, and it's seamless. So like when a traditional tile floor or a wood floor, more tile down here.
Right.
You have grout joints and stuff that collect dirt.
Right.
There's nothing that will penetrate epoxy. So it stays super sealed, super clean. You just go through and dust mop it, and then you mop it with either bleach or whatever cleaning solution you like to clean with. you're not going to hurt it.
Right.
Because it's chemical resistant.
Got it.
I mean, you can drive on it. I mean, it's not going to hurt it at all.
Yeah, because if you put it in your garage,
Put it in a
you get
garage.
right,
That's
yeah,
correct.
so
Super
that's
strong.
Pretty cool. So, what's a typical job take? Like, what's the time frame and that kind of
You
thing?
know, on a 2-car garage, you're going to spend about 2 days.
Okay.
Yep. So your prep work is your most initial work. After that, once you start coating, between the primer, the color, and your top coat, which is a urethane, those are just small segments of time. And then you got to let it dry.
Right.
So when you pour the color, it usually takes about 6 to 8 hours to dry. So you come back the next morning and you finish it up.
Okay.
So typical 2-car garage, you're looking at about 2 days
2 days.
altogether.
Okay.
Yeah. 3-car
That's not bad.
garage is almost the same time because you're already there and set up. So it's not doesn't take that much longer.
Got you. Okay. So give me some. I know you guys. You're talking about like the pizza place. Or
Yep.
was it the pizza place or?
Yeah, it's Brew Burgers.
Brew Burgers. Okay. So tell me what's some of the other ones. Like which one of your biggest or best jobs you've done?
Well, let's see. We've got Brew Burgers down here with our company. We've done multiple garages. Trying to think of what
So
else.
far, the coolest metallic has to be that job that you did on that $10 million home across the state. That one was probably the coolest.
Well, that was polished concrete.
Oh, my bad.
Yep.
I thought that was metallic.
Yeah, West Palm, we just polished it. We did some stained and polished concrete.
So what's that?
And that there is just where it's a process of kind of like buffing your car.
Okay.
So you take the same equipment that you prep with for the metallics, and you put diamonds up underneath it, the
Oh.
teeth.
Okay.
And it's a big, giant 1,300-pound machine, and it just grinds the concrete. So you start off with a low grit, and you keep working your way up to like a 1,500 or an 800, depending on the level of shine. You can literally make it look like a piece of glass.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
A
and then
piece-
we can color
that's
it.
concrete.
It's concrete.
Wow, it looks like glass.
It
That's
looks
kinda
just
cool.
like glass. Yep, but it's not slippery.
Okay.
Yep, it's beautiful when it's done.
What did most people use that for? Garages or?
We're doing a garage today like that.
Okay.
Yeah, here locally in Sarasota. Actually, he's in Mayaca,
Okay.
but it's just a different look. It's a more modern look.
Okay.
Not as artsy. We usually border it with black epoxy borders, or depending on the color that they choose. But it's just a different finish with a different look that we offer. Because some people don't like the metallics. It's
Okay.
too busy for them, or it's just not their style.
Right. Gotcha.
So we pretty much have a style for everybody.
So you can go one way or the other, right?
Yeah, you can go whichever way.
Gotcha. Okay. So how did you get into this business and what made you decide to get in this business?
Well, I started off my career doing this when I was 17 years old, but I was doing tile and marble.
Okay.
So I did that for the longest time, and I got tired of crawling on my knees. Most of this work's up on your feet.
Okay. So you were doing tile, marble, but you weren't doing that here, right? So
No.
So where did you start and what made you guys come to Sarasota?
I grew up in Sarasota,
Okay.
and my wife, Jordan, she grew up in Orlando, but we've been living in Tallahassee most of my adult life,
Okay.
which is where most of my company and my career started and has been until we moved here. But we come down here, just wanted to show her where I grew up one weekend. I took her to Siesta Key, Longboat Key, all the fun places.
Yep.
Right. And before we left, we were looking for houses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That fast, huh?
I
Yeah.
fell in love with this place down here. So
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Orlando. And when you grow up in Orlando, you pretty much stay on the East Coast, Cocoa Beach, Daytona Beach, New Smyrna. Not once have I ever been over to this side. Like we'd come to Tampa to go to Busch Gardens,
Right.
but not over to the beaches. So when I saw the beaches and then I saw Lakewood Ranch,
Yeah.
I was like, done. I said, I don't know how we're going to make this happen, but we are going to uproot and then start planting here. And that's what we did.
And that's funny because I hear a lot of that story. So I was just telling you about Shelby Lofton from Lofton Plumbing that was just here. Hers was the same thing. They were in Oklahoma.
Yep.
They moved. They came down here. They vacationed down here, and she's like, I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we're moving there.
Right.
Our story, Debbie and I's story, is very similar. We came down here on our 20th anniversary, fell in love with the place. Well, she really fell in love with the place. She said the exact same thing that you said. She's like, I don't know how we're doing it, but we're moving there. And I'm like, you're out of your mind.
Yep.
I was like, there's no way. We're not leaving Baltimore. I was like, I have a career here. I have a
That's
business
it.
here.
It's very hard
And
to
that was
uproot.
his-
And I
Yep.
was like, and I'm like, but I worked for a big bank then. And so we came down here, it was April. By the end of July, we were living here.
That's
I found a
amazing.
place that I could transfer down here for like with the same company. We put our house up for sale, and we just went.
That's basically what we did.
Mm-hmm.
COVID had started right at the same time as we moved.
Right.
So that kind of made it a little bit slower of a transition naturally, just because, everything was on lockdown and there was a
It was a
bunch
lot
of
slower.
transitions going on.
Right.
Along with the move.
So how did you? Because you guys have grown pretty quickly down here.
Yes.
We
I mean,
have.
You have, and I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of your stuff. How did people find you? How did you grow so quickly?
So basically,
That's him.
I did something different that I've never done. Built the website, started extremely hardcore on SEOs and the whole web-based program that I don't know anything about. So I hired a guy that I partnered up with out of West Palm, and I let him take over. He come highly recommended, and his tactics has proved to work extremely well just for people to find us.
Awesome.
But then the marketing through Instagram, TikTok, which is stuff that's all very new to me.
And word of mouth from the people you
and then the word of mouth.
for.
Right.
Yeah. And then our trucks with our logo and our
Yes.
wraps.
That makes a big difference, right?
people see us.
It's a
I have-
force.
I have people calling me just seeing me in traffic.
Well, that's the thing is like, actually, so I got the podcast, this logo from the podcast.
Yeah, it
and
looks
I put
great.
and I put it on the back of my truck, and my wife's like, "Why would you do that?" I was like, "But I'm getting people to listen to it. They
It's
see it,
eye-catching.
and
Yes.
and they were like, I saw your thing on the truck, and I was like, and actually, I listened to all your podcasts, and they were great. And I was like, and I'm like, well, there you go. I was like, I guess I'm not taking it off.
Thank you.
I mean, I've partnered with probably at least 4 companies here doing their work just based off the wraps off
Yeah.
the vehicles.
I mean, it does work, and it's like as
Which
much
is
as
a logo that me and her put together. We put together all the graphics, all of the everything to do with the marketing side. We put together.
Yeah. Mine kind of just morphed. It just kind of
Yeah.
came out of nowhere. Like I started working on it, and then one day I was like, we kind of started changing it and worked on it, and it just kind of like over the time since I started the podcast back in June. We've only been doing it since June, but it just keeps growing, and then new things keep going, and then you come up with a new idea, and you're like, oh, this is better, and it kind of just like now we're like, all right, I think we're getting there, and
Right.
It
It takes time.
It does take.
I mean,
time.
I've been in flooring for 26 years, so it's been my whole life.
Right.
This is just a different aspect of flooring. It's very different from tile and marble to polishing concrete, chemicals, epoxy. Concrete reacts different with different chemicals, weather, humidity, which, I
Yeah.
mean, we're in South Florida.
Exactly.
Humidity,
Rain.
just walk, rain. Rain is not my friend.
That's the thing. Is like you see all like the do-it-yourself videos where people are using epoxy and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I see it and it's super cool, but like it looks like so much work.
It is a lot of work.
And it's like it's just because I think it's because of what it takes to put it in and make sure you don't get the bubbles and make sure
That's
you
the
don't-
whole key right there.
and like because it will look terrible if you have a bunch of bubbles.
It
in
looks horrible. I mean, I've been in just this town alone, I've looked at 4 in companies like businesses that have bubbles all through the floor. But cheap price doesn't always mean great work.
Right.
Rarely does it
You
mean
get
that.
you get what you pay for.
You definitely get what you pay for.
And that would drive me crazy, right? I'm such like so particular about things.
Of
Like,
course.
and I would be looking at that, and it would just be like it would drive me nuts.
Especially when there's a way to prevent it.
Right. I was like, it's got all these bubbles in it. It would look great if it didn't have all these bubbles.
Exactly.
And it would just sit there and get them in my nerves.
Right.
And it's like, well, I'm just ripping it out.
Yeah.
It'll get to that point.
I mean, there was a company that I visited yesterday, and they make foil wrappers here in Sarasota for liquor bottles, toothpaste, Colgate. They ship it all over the world.
Wow.
Right here out of Sarasota.
Didn't even know that.
Yep. It's amazing. As soon as I walked in, they want a metallic in their new showroom. As soon as I walked in and seen their existing metallic, I mean, it looked like craters everywhere in the floor because of the bubbles.
Wow.
It just, it just ruins what is such a beautiful piece of artwork. That's all you can fixate on. And it just comes down to either cutting corners, and when you're less expensive or cheaper, you're not going to put the time and the effort. You're not going to have the same quality tools, same quality products. We use the best products there is, which is all made here in America. Our chemist is out in Arizona. Fantastic guy. I've gone, had dinner with him.
So you need a chemist for all this?
Everything's put together by a chemist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's science. It's way above my pay grade when we start putting it together. But if I need to know something particular when a customer calls me, if we have something special or unique, I can call him on my phone. If we need to tweak or remake a product, this company is right on it.
Wow.
But it's all made here. It's all America. It's right here in our backyard.
That's pretty cool.
We're not waiting for shipping from another country or.
So did they actually make the epoxy?
They do.
They make it. Did they make the colors, or do you add the colors?
Well, the colors is pigments, which
Okay.
is like a powder.
Okay.
And it comes in hundreds and hundreds of colors. You pour that into the epoxy to make the color.
Okay. So and then you get creative and make it like your
And you
own
start
piece
mixing.
of artwork,
Yep.
right? So that's kind of cool, right? Because I mean,
It's
if you look,
extremely cool.
if you're sitting there, you're looking at it, you're like, oh wow, this is pretty neat because I'm actually making like a piece of artwork for somebody's house or some
And you're never going
showroom.
to replicate it again.
Yeah.
So if I do a job for Chris, it's going to be his floor, one off. I could try my best to replicate it, but it's never going to be the same.
Same. So nobody else will have that floor.
Nope.
No,
and that's
you
kinda
have
cool
one
too,
of a
right?
kind.
Yeah,
it is.
And I mean, nobody else is going to have it. So if somebody comes and looks at it, be like, "This is my floor," but
Yep.
you can't. It's like
And
it's a mine.
And our floors have a signature style to them. So it's very clear, and ours is very different, which is why I think it's exploding and taking off so well around here, because there's different ways to apply it. We have a very artistic way. A lot of guys just put one color and a couple little blurs of color, which it kind of blends together, and you really don't even see how artistic it can really be.
Oh wow.
So ours has a very signature style.
So when you're laying it, how do you artistically lay it to make it look like that? I mean, is there a certain way you have to do that, or?
Well, we're getting ready to post a video
Okay.
on our website for this. It's a very unique strategy that when we're mixing, it's all about mixing and timing, because once you start pouring the activator, the chemicals that when they start reacting, it starts cooking. So and it cooks faster in the bucket.
Okay.
You have to get it out of the bucket so the heat will dispense.
Got ya.
So funny story to elaborate on what Jeremy was talking about with the heat. And the reason I go, ooh, is because we were actually working on a job and I am less experienced tremendously than my husband is. And he's like, get it out of the bucket, get it out of the bucket. Well, I was working on stairs. So I'm sitting here going, okay, I need to make sure it goes down both sides. It's coming down the flats and then the risers and everything's being coated correctly. Well, I waited too long. And before I knew it, it was so gummed up that it wasn't even flowing.
Oh, wow.
So then at that point, I had to take and scrape, and he was sitting there laughing. He's like, I told you to get it out of the bucket. But it was an easy thing to fix. But it's one of those things that you sit there and go, this is chemicals. Like, this is something that if you are not experienced enough, it can get botched with the snap of a
It can be
finger.
a nightmare quick.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
So not just the artistic flow of having it in your mind how you want to do it. The pressure is on because as soon as you start pouring and mixing that activator, the clock starts ticking.
Right.
Yep.
So you got to get that color mixed, and there's a certain time to mix. Each color has to be mixed for 3 minutes. So the pigment and all the stuff's mixed properly. And then as soon as that bucket's ready, you got to start putting it on the floor. Once you put it on the floor, you have more time to work it.
Right.
But you got to get it out of the bucket. So the clock is ticking as you're mixing and getting everything. But when you got 9 colors, that's a lot of colors to mix.
Oh yeah.
So you're really, I mean, you're in work focus, no phones, nothing can distract you, because along with making sure you get them all mixed, you got to do what you're envisioning for that floor.
Right. So you can't let anything like get in your way, because the thing
Everything's
is,
got to be ready, prepped, ready to roll.
Because if not, then
You're gonna be
just
redoing a
doing
floor.
Which is
floor.
why there's a lot of failures with it.
Ah.
So it's a very niche type business that it can look amazing, and when it's done right, it looks amazing.
Right.
There's no
Okay.
floor like it.
Wow.
When it's done wrong, people look at it and they're like, yeah, I don't want it.
Okay. So tell me a little bit, okay, so you guys came down here right before COVID, right? And
Yep.
so tell me a little bit about, okay, because you've grown pretty quickly. And what kind of, struggles did you have? And tell me how you overcome some of those.
I'd say the original struggle was just transitioning from the Tallahassee market to here. COVID didn't help, so the website was built, slowly gaining traction on the web base, with SEOs and how Google reads your website and puts you in front of people when people Google epoxy or polished concrete on their phone or their computer. And Google won't put you in front of people until you have enough credibility.
Right.
Because it's them recommending a company is basically how Google works.
All right.
They're your mouthpiece.
Exactly.
They're saying, hey, Paradigm does a great job. Here's their 5-star review, which is what we have.
Okay.
So, but until Google has confidence in you, they won't put you in front of customers. So the pressure's more on you to market and let people know who you are, which is what I've done my whole life. So I would travel from Tallahassee to Sarasota, continuing working in Tallahassee. That was the biggest struggles at the start.
Wow.
Was just traveling back and forth each week, continuing to run the company up there until Sarasota became more concrete and people knew who we were and had the confidence in what we were able to provide them.
Right. So talk to us about that, because you've grown to that point. So what do you guys, how many jobs do you do a week now?
We probably do, we're not a big company.
Right.
So there's only 3 people in the field and then myself. And we probably do 2 to 3 jobs a week.
Okay.
It just
gotcha.
depends on the size of the
So,
job.
right.
Like last week we were in West Palm and we did a smoke and vape shop.
Okay.
We were there all week.
Wow.
But it was the entire store. And it was a horrible slab. Old building right downtown West Palm, right on US 1.
Okay.
But the
yeah.
floor looked amazing.
All right.
And that was another client that found us from the website, because our website is statewide.
Okay.
And he had bad experiences with metallics prior. So he was very leery, but he loved the concept. But he's seen our work, he loved it. We came in, we did our thing, and he's got another one for us to do.
Wow.
So that's kind of how it works. Once you get in business, once you get that credibility and people have confidence in you, that's better than any website. The website just puts you in front of somebody. Once you're in front and they see your work and they see you stand behind your word and you do what you say, they're the best advertisement you'll ever get. There's nothing better.
Right.
Because then they tell their friends, or they have
Exactly.
other companies, businesses, and it just starts to spread like a wildfire with a blower blowing on it.
Right.
And
The thing is they see your work and see what you guys do. Because when I saw it on the website, I'm like, wow, this stuff. You need a Facebook page and all the stuff that you do. And
It
I see
does.
some of even the videos you guys do.
The videos.
The videos are awesome. Like the befores and afters.
We
and how
appreciate
it's,
that. And that takes a lot of time too.
Right.
Like none of it's super easy. There's nothing easy about success. So
Right.
it's early mornings and late nights and everything in between.
Exactly. So
Scratching your head, hitting it against a wall a few times.
that's just being a business owner.
Well, that's what I mean.
I know.
It's no one sees that in the videos. No one sees the struggles, but it's all part of it. But that's the reward.
Right.
Is seeing the beautiful floor, seeing a really cool video that, we've not that it's huge, but we've had a couple videos that hit 200,000 views, 300,000 views. We went viral
That's
or
pretty.
nothing, but that's pretty impressive.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Especially for a floor.
And that
just
wasn't
goes-
even a pretty floor. That was just self-leveling
Wow.
in Ybor City.
And then the glitter flake one hit like 3.2 million on
That's
my
right.
page.
That one did.
Yeah,
That
people
was
love
early
the
on.
glitter flake.
Yes,
It's
that
like
one
flake
was real
with the
big.
Yeah,
glitter
Forgot about
flecks
glitter,
that.
in
say
it.
glitter in it, right?
But it is amazing the way Sarasota and this whole South Florida as a whole, even the West Palm area, has just open armed and love our work. But I think it's just a whole package of what we bring.
Right.
Just honest, fair pricing, beautiful work, and we do what we say.
Yes.
Well, I think the thing is one of the things that I think why people like it though is because it gives their home or business a unique look to it, right? That makes them stand out compared to anybody else. Like so if I was gonna, if you were going into a business and you saw that, that's kind of like this is pretty cool. Like, it's a pretty cool place. The flooring, you know, because I mean, you go into some places and you look at the flooring, it's like, ooh, you know what I mean? And or like, you know, hey, I got my house, and you know, and whether it's the garage or something else, you're gonna want to show it off.
It's a showpiece, and it says something about how you value your home.
For a company, it's amazing because it will bring people in just off of a floor.
Yep.
We have 2 restaurants that we've done. One was in Tallahassee, and it was a little bit outside of his box because they're very conservative in Tallahassee. And I told him, I said, there's no other place around here that has this kind of floor. I said, you're going to have people come here just to look at your floor. He didn't believe me.
Right.
We did it. All kinds of cool colors. He just let me go with it. He's like, here's my colors. And that's really, it's like getting a tattoo. You tell someone what you like, and you let the tattoo artist run. And that's very similar to ours. You give me your color palettes that you like and kind of give me ideas. We did his floor, and he texts me and calls me all the time. He's like, Jeremy, we have people coming to eat here. They love our food, but the florist steals the show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's amazing. I said, aren't you glad you invested in that? He said, there's no other place around here like it. And it's almost kind of like an icon now that people talk about the floor on the Facebook and Instagram, and they come here because they love our food, but it's just cool to look at while you're here.
Well, I think one of the things that gives it, you know, that elegant, I don't know if this is the right word, but very rich looking.
It is.
And the thing is like, because it's almost to the point that it looks like a marble.
It does.
And like, so that's the thing. So like, and it looks, you know, this looks like this would be in a $10 million home, or it looks
100%.
like, you know, or it should be in some like, you know, Greek building or something like that. It's just it's very unique, you know, and it's just, it gives it such a different look on it. So what I wanted to ask you, because you're also a real estate agent, has this cross combined it, and how does that work with that?
We're just starting to do a little bit of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for me, different customers want different things, and I love having the ability to show them Jeremy's work. And most of them have never seen a metallic floor. They think, like I said earlier, the flake.
Right.
That's all they think about is
right.
garage and flake. And then when they see how it can be applied interior applications, on new constructions, they're like, do we want to do this? Do we want to pull up everything before we move in and then go in? But it's an option.
Right.
It's options that people don't even think about. And it's always easier before someone moves into a home, instead of having all their stuff that they then have to get out and then put back in, to do it before it's even moved into. So it's fantastic to capitalize on that before they even move in the home, but also them have more than just flake or a painted epoxy that's builder grade.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Is like, I mean,
And it's going to peel up.
Well,
it will peel.
Well, that's,
yes.
I mean, that's my house. And,
Yeah.
you know, we have that in there. And the builder put it in there, but we see it coming up already and that kind of thing.
And it just comes down to the prep and the quality of materials.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to grind the floors. Grinding is key with epoxy.
But you'll have people ask you, can you just do it without the grinding? And what do you tell them?
I just refuse to do it
Yeah.
because it's my reputation.
Right.
Because all people remember is the last person there.
Right, exactly.
So if you don't do it the way you know you're supposed to do it, and it fails, they're going to say, hey, we've seen that Paradigm guy here. He's the one that did that.
Yep.
And that's all they're going to remember.
'Cause
So we refuse to do it if we don't do it our way.
Well, you got to do it your way, or it won't look right. And the thing is,
It's
it's
not
like, you know,
Paradigm.
right. So, I mean, and
Right.
that's your reputation.
It is.
And it's what you built on.
And we have a very high standard.
And that is why we named his company Paradigm, because it is a paradigm shift, a shift in the way things are done. Typically, people have a stigma with construction workers, and we wanted them to know just before they even spoke with him or me that the name says it all, which some people don't know how to pronounce. They call it paradigm. But anybody that has been in business for any length of time has heard of paradigm shift. So when they see the name, they know, okay, paradigm. They must mean paradigm shift.
Yeah, I like it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love your logo. I mean,
I appreciate
I
that.
love the logo.
It's a little aggressive.
It is a
you know?
little aggressive. You know, it's
But
sort
it's
of
you.
even this, right? I was like, you know, but there's a story behind my logo, right? So I love to work out. Actually, so the Spartans were the warrior of me being in the army.
That's awesome.
But if you look at it, the plate is actually a weight. and we took
Yes.
it and we
You got the microphone.
and then the
on other side.
microphone, and then the real hustle. That's just like I've always been about hustle, and that's kind of where that all came from. So, but yeah, so that's what I think logos do make a huge.
Logos
part.
are huge.
Right.
It's all about your branding,
Yeah.
marketing, and your branding. It's almost like for me, my logo is just an expression of me. When you see my logo and then you see me, you're like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Big old burly guy,
Okay.
Just rugged, not super refined, but it's what you get.
Exactly. So, anything else you want to share about your business? Anything else that you want to tell people?
The only other thing that I could probably say is a lot of people are scared to do it with the colors of the metallics, but we offer the flake systems, which is a little more milder, still a super very good industrial coating, especially the way we do it. Like it's going to last in a house, it'll last forever. In a commercial setting, you'll get 10 to 15 years easy out of a coating, even the metallic in a commercial setting. So it's going to outperform or equally perform as any other flooring product that's out there.
Right.
A lot of them it will outperform. LVTs and vinyl flooring, carpet, it's going to outperform that a million times more. Tile, if tile's done right, it'll last a long time.
Right.
But it gets dirty.
Right.
So the grout.
The grout gets gross.
And there's really no fixing that. I don't care if you do epoxy grout or I've done it all because I've done everything when it comes to flooring like that. And epoxy truly is one of the only floorings that's it's going to hold up and look amazing, super easy to clean, for the whole life of the floor. Because the worst thing you would have to do in 10 years is go in there and lightly sand it and then put a new top coat,
Right.
which is going to bring that vibrance back to the floor. As far as polished concrete, you can go back in there and reseal it and reburnish it, which is our final step. We just did one in Venice. We do a lot of work in Venice for some reason. For a lady that owns a software company.
Okay.
She had polished concrete in her whole office. We went in there. She found us from our website, and we resealed it, which just brings that vibrant shine back to the floor after it's been down for, 10 years, even 5 years, depending on how much traffic. It just brings it back like it's brand new, which is very inexpensive comparing to having to start over.
Right.
So with polish, you can have, I call it a lifetime floor, because every 8 to 10 years, you just reburnish it and reseal it, and it looks brand new again, which is a fraction of the cost to starting a new floor. So warehouses, mechanic shops, restaurants, software computer companies, it's a great floor. It's extremely easy to clean and going to last. It'll last you forever.
That's awesome.
With proper maintenance.
So where do you guys see yourself growing? What do you think? I know you said you got a few people working for you. How big did you want to get?
Not big.
I don't want to get too big because you lose that touch.
Yes.
The guys that have been with me, they've been with me for 15 years. So they're family now.
Oh, yeah.
So, which says something about Paradigm in a whole, just how we operate. They've been with me a long time, and they love what we do. They have as much passion about it as I do. Mm-hmm. So when I'm not there and I'm out meeting new customers and my guys are on site, they know what Jeremy expects.
Right.
Because they expect it. They have high standards too. They're not going to skip steps. They're not going to do anything. So to replicate that, I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's extremely hard.
Right.
It's hard to find other individuals that have as much pride as you do in your team that's been together for 15 years.
Yeah, that's true.
And I was almost doing it for 10 years before them. And I was not very successful finding people that had as much pride as me. So growing, yes. Expanding with multiple trucks and trying to be the biggest, no, that's not really, it's not my business
That's
model.
right.
We want to work for people that see our value, appreciate the value, and we will go and do work for them from Sarasota to Naples, Orlando, West Palm, and we have an opportunity right now to go to the Bahamas.
Oh, wow.
Which has been outreached from the website and social media which goes to show you how powerful that is.
Exactly.
And we did one project in West Palm already for their sister company or maybe a competitor. Not really sure.
Okay.
But they love our work. So they're wanting us to go to, I think it's Biscayne, the island Biscayne.
Okay.
Over there. Movie stars, 50 million plus homes.
Oh, wow.
Which is amazing. You know, that's huge for Paradigm.
Right.
You know, that's would be huge for anyone to work on a house, either a Tom Brady or, you know, a movie star, or that's the caliber homes that those would be. So for them to ask us to come to do their work is pretty awesome.
That's
I
an
think
honor.
you should go into a little bit more detail for companies that are trying to figure out where they fit within the market, just kind of touching on it, because you've been in that position in the tile world where you wanted to be big. You thought more would be better, and quickly found out how devastating that can turn. And that's why, come hell or high water, you decided to stay small to control the quality, because people do feel the push to get bigger. They feel a push to come down on their prices because they may miss out on this job or that job and not make as much as they want. But at the end of the day, they're going to cut corners to make that profit margin work, which at the end of the day may not be the best decision.
Well, it's just in what your business model is. And when you start off and you're growing a company, most people, when they're growing their company, sky's the limit, right?
Right.
You want to conquer the world, but you can't control everything.
Mm-mm.
So the bigger you get, unless you're a massive corporation, and even them, they lose touch a little bit about where it started.
Right.
I'm sure Amazon started that way.
I
You
know.
know, they've grown into this massive company. Jeff Bezos, he probably don't hear half the complaints.
No.
But you know what? People still buy because of the price.
Yep.
This is a much different industry. Construction as a whole, or, you know, a service industry where you have to physically make sure that every little piece is perfect. Because if it's not mixed perfect, it's done.
Yeah,
It won't even
exactly.
dry on the floor.
Wow.
It'll be
Yeah,
goo.
exactly.
So that's a hard thing to expand and put that trust into someone when it's Jeremy's reputation and my name. If you pay me X amount of money to do your floor, that's your hard money that you've worked for. So you have expectations based on what I've sold you, which is my marketing, my website, which is all done by me. So it'd be hard for me to sell that to a customer and someone else do it and then it go wrong.
Right.
Because not only is it frustrating, now you're having to redo stuff, puts everybody in a bad position. So when you grow like that, you take those chances, and it's just not worth the chance for me.
Makes sense. So how does everybody get a hold of you? Can they find you?
Website.
Website?
Paradigm Concrete FL, baby.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys coming out. Appreciate you guys telling
Yeah.
our story.
Thank you for having
Appreciate you
us.
having
And
us.
then, and I will talk to you soon. All right, guys, that concludes our show. And make sure you subscribe to our channel, and we'll talk to you soon.